Chapter 3, 174. Dinner with Friends. Soon, several instructors appeared. In a solemn and sonorous atmosphere, each of them gave a small speech, congratulating the survivors of the Dreamer Army on overcoming the immeasurable hardships and returning to the real world alive. They also spoke about those who had fallen and offered words of solace, saying that their sacrifice would not be forgotten by mankind. After all, mankind only continued to exist because of young men and women like them. To Sunny, those words rang hollow and empty, but they affected many people in the crowd. He saw a few people crying, the others trying to keep a brave face. Everyone had lost a friend, a companion, or a loved one during the tumultuous last days on the Forgotten Shore. Finally, Instructor Rock took the stage and spoke in length about the meaning of being an awakened, their duty to safeguard humanity, and what they should do and expect in the next few days. However, at some point, he was interrupted. "Lady Nephis, tell us what happened to her." A hum of voices rose above the crowd, everyone joining in that plea. Instructor Rock sighed. "Calm down, Awakened. I'll tell you everything we know." The survivors of the Dreamer Army grew silent, staring at him with piercing intensity. The mighty man hesitated for a few seconds, then said, "As all of you know by now, the gateway of the Forgotten Shore seemed to have been destroyed. Changing Star, who took it upon herself to distract the fallen Terra to allow her people to escape, did not make it through in time." A heavy, tortured tension hung in the air. The young men and women gathered in the hall kept silent, but their faces betrayed the storm of painful emotions raging in their hearts. Instructor Rock continued, "However, she is still alive out there, in the dream realm. Her vital signs and brain activity readings are all stable. It seems that Lady Nephis managed to escape the terror at least." He didn't need to say the rest. Everyone understood what it meant. She was trapped in the dream realm, with no way to come back. Sunny glanced at the newly awakened around him, wondering what their reaction would be. Guilt? Sorrow? Fury? However, he was surprised by what he saw. A few moments later, a voice resounded from the crowd, full of adamant belief. "She will return. If anything can do it, it's Lady Nephis." A wave of voices then joined that first one, all expressing their agreement. "That's right. She is Changing Star of the Immortal Flame. She won't die." "Who says that she escaped from the Terra? I bet that Lady Nephis is currently roasting its meat, looking at a map and thinking where to find another gateway." "Exactly. Immortal Flame cannot be extinguished." There was no guilt, sorrow, or fury. Only hope. Only faith. Uncomfortable, Sunny turned to Effie and Kai. Both seemed to be a little bit sad, but strangely calm. What do you guys think?" Effie hesitated for a few seconds, then shrugged. "I sort of agree. If anyone can make it out alive from there, it's Princess. It sounds impossible, but, it's her. You know how she is." Kai remained silent for a bit, then nodded. "That's what I believe too, or at least try to believe." Saying those words, he looked around with concern and said, "But Cassie must be devastated. Have you seen her?" Sunny stared at him grimly, then turned away. "I did earlier. She is." Strangely, today, the blind girl was nowhere to be found. To his relief, Kai sighed, then rubbed his face. "I really want to sleep. It's tough, staying awake for that long. What about you guys?" Sunny shrugged. "I'm fine for now. I also have a pack of military-grade stimulants to keep me awake for a few more days." Effie glanced at them and grinned. "I am not sleepy at all. However, to be honest, I am dying from hunger. There has to be food here somewhere, right?" Sometime later, they were in the cafeteria of the hospital complex. Sunny and Kai were already done with their dinner and observed with dark fascination as Effie was finishing her fourth serving. There was a small mountain of empty plates in front of her. Finally, the huntress was done with the food and leaned back tiredly in her wheelchair, full of satisfaction. "Ah, that's life. Sunny, go bring me something to drink." He stared at her with a dark expression and asked, "I already brought you the last 3 trays. Why don't you ask Kai? Effie grinned. Aren't you the youngest? Respect your elders, brat. Also, Kai and I are big shots now. Way out of your league. Why would I ask a valiant true name awakened to serve me food when there's a nameless gremlin like you loitering around? Sonny gritted his teeth, then obediently stood up and went to bring the young woman a few drinks. When he returned, Kai looked at him apologetically. Sorry about that, Sonny. Actually, I am really surprised that you didn't receive a true name as well. No one deserves it more than you, in my opinion. Really? Sonny shifted uncomfortably and said, Yeah, well, you're not wrong. I do deserve a true name, don't I? What a travesty. Effie giggled. Hey, Knight, what do you think Sonny's true name would be? Kai blinked a couple of times, though for a bit, then said with a smile. I'm not sure. Something like, famous last words? He chuckled lightly and then added, Or, no really, that happened. What about you, Effie? What do you think? Effie glanced at Sonny, then smiled with mischief. Looks good in a dress. He stared at her with murder in his eyes. Hey! While the gaunt young woman was laughing, Sonny turned to Kai and frowned. Speaking of true names, Effie I can understand, but Nightingale? You were really named just like your band? What's up with that? Then he looked at the charming archer with suspicion and said in a grave tone, Kai, tell me honestly, the spell is also one of your fangirls, right? His friend choked on his drink, then wiped his face awkwardly and gave Sonny a reproachful look. Finally, he looked down and sighed. If it is, then not in a good way. At best, it's a sasaying.